Things get better when we do. Let me say that one more time. Things will get better when you do. Personal growth in any aspect of life is a decision. There are patterns that we fall into. There's patterns in nature that create growth, and there's those that cause stagnation. In this podcast, we're going to look at how growth happens in nature and how that can be applied to our personal and business life.
Welcome to the MLMsuccess.com podcast, the show designed to return the network marketing industry to its roots of personal growth, leadership development, and wisdom of the ages success principles. We share with you real success stories from real people that we hope will inspire and encourage you personally and help you progress forward in your business and your life. We believe if you build people, people will build the business. Now here is your host, who has been called the number one mind in network marketing, the MLM prophet, network marketing virtual mentor, and a host of other names that we will not mention because this is a family show. Frankly, he's just a small town guy that figured out that the real product in network marketing is people. Dale Calvert.
Welcome to session 299 of the MLM Success Podcast 299. I'm calling this session Personal Growth Patterns. It doesn't happen by accident. I have one more session I'm going to definitely complete. I'm going to do 300. Then after that, I'm going to make some decisions. I haven't quite decided for sure yet what I'm going to do, but I welcome you guys here. This is going to get a little bit more philosophical. Is that the word? I'm going to get a little bit more in depth. And I hate to even use this because you guys that know me know I don't do this, but we're going to be talking about trees. So I might be going out on a limb a little bit, but I just got off the phone with my friend and business associate, David Buchanan, down in the St. Petersburg area. And we just had a real great conversation. He said, if people, and when we're talking about Ihub Meta here, he said, if people don't do this, they just need to forget about it. They just need to forget about it. And that's true. They just need to forget about ever becoming an entrepreneur of any type, period. I mean, you're not going to do anything. Just forget about it. And Dave, as much as anyone, has always been able to kind of read my mind. And of course, he was referring to the Ihub Meta opportunity. And he said, if entrepreneurs look at this and don't have where has this been all my life? Where has this been all my life? If they don't have where has this been all my life response, they may have just looked, but they didn't see it. The last 60 days has been an eye-opening experience for me in ways that I really haven't even wrapped my own mind around yet. Very eye-opening. People, that means me and you and I, we see things not as they are, but as we are as human beings. We all act and react in accordance with our own programming, with our own mindsets. That's where all our action and reaction comes from, is how we are as human beings, the brain cell patterns that have been developed in our lives over the years. When our mindsets our programming is not based upon reality, and we all know there's people all around us everywhere that have absolutely no reality based to their thought process. In their mind, it's true, but there's different levels of dysfunction and there's different levels of crazy. They're not all crazy people aren't in a mental hospital somewhere, or all dysfunctionally thinking people aren't. And when our mindsets, our programming is not based upon reality, the math, if you will, it is impossible to take advantage of opportunities because somehow we feel wisdom of the ages principles or the math, for whatever reason, they don't apply to us. And it's just fascinating to me. It's just absolutely fascinating because as human beings, we must act in accordance to our brain cell patterns that we have developed in our minds. And I hope you heard what I said. I said we must act. We have no choice. And that has been proven to me in the last couple of months at a level that I've never really seen so much of it over and over. It's been fascinating. And, you know, I've heard my entire life people see the glass half empty or half full. And we all think about our negative Nancy or whoever that always is negative about everything constantly. It's like 99% of the time, every day, everything that comes out of her mouth or his mouth, if you're talking about your Uncle Joe or whoever. Right now, the way I'm looking at these people, and some of them I love dearly as human beings, but they're what I call the what if people, you know, and they sound like a parrot. All the time. What if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? It's like a parrot over and over. What if this happens? What if that happens? And what happens with the what if person is their mind is flooded with what ifs. And it's not just in business. It's in life. It's in everything. And they can't help it. And if they don't take action and understand what's going on in their own mind, their own knee-jerk what if reactions, it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. It's never going to end for these people if they don't get serious and decide, hey, I got to get beyond this. And what if people are able to totally ignore the success that they can be witnessing all around them daily? They have the unbelievable ability to ignore it. And then they can come up with some very creative excuses about why they can't or why it won't happen for them. And honestly, to me, it's sad. It's beyond sad. All the logic and math in the world can dictate that it's time to make a pivot in any area of your life, or that it makes sense that it's time to restructure your time to be able to take advantage of an opportunity. The facts cannot be clear. It's as plain as the nose on your face. But if it is in conflict with how we see ourselves, or we see our abilities, or it's in conflict with our self-image and our mind programming, you know, the programming that we have in our minds, the brain cell patterns that have been developed over the years, we will not be able to make smart, logical business moves. The math can be right in front of us. The examples can be right in front of us. But we are not able to make the pivot, make the shift, to discipline ourselves, to move in a direction that we know will be very profitable for us, with the wrong programming. And it's just unbelievable to me to know some of the training, some of the books people have read, what they've heard for years, and then something's handed to them on a silver platter, and they're not able to move. Speaking of being able to restructure our life and time to be able to take advantage of opportunity, because for many people, that's what's required. I mean, I mentioned Dave earlier. I mean, he works 7 to 7, 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning. Every day, 12-hour shifts, but he's structured and been able to create the time where he can to be able to take advantage of an opportunity that he sees. And like he said, if an entrepreneur-minded person doesn't see this, then just forget about it. But I want to give a shout out to a couple of other of our Ihub Meta team members, Philip Cantu, which I've probably mentioned before. I've worked with Philip for a couple years, and like all of us, he's been a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. And like all of us, he has some very, very strong points. Where he's strong, and where he's weak. And where he's weak, he's getting better, as we all need to be. But he's really hung in there and continued to progress. I've watched his entrepreneurial journey over the last couple of years and beyond proud of him. And I always have seen him, in my mind, he's a future millionaire, because he's a learner, he's a teacher, he's value focused. He's just got everything that you need to, I'm a pretty good talent scout, and this young man's got it, and I see him doing phenomenal things. And he was living in Mexico and recently moved back to the United States just so he could take advantage of what many of us know to be the number one opportunity in the United States. So he made that shift in his life, and that's a pretty major shift. Another example is our associate, Michael Clark. He's a great guy that I met over the phone last year, and we just hit it off from the beginning. I really like this guy. I'm beyond happy to have him on our team. Even if he is a Tennessee Vols fan, I'm still glad he's with us. And he recently sent me a testimony about our business, and I'm just going to share his words with you because I think it shows what people are feeling and seeing and the excitement that is going on right now. He said, I did what I thought was the right path to the American dream. I got my college degree, went to work, established credit, supported my family, built and owned my own home by working 40 years for somebody else to make it happen. Not a bad life at all, and I'm not complaining. But I was not a wise financial guy, terrible with money matters, and I seemed to always be struggling most of these years just to make it month to month, mouth to mouth. God has blessed me in so many ways, wonderful parents who taught and loved me and my 3 siblings very much, wonderful community to grow up in and share with so many wonderful people, a great church and church family teaching me the most vital lessons and characteristics are always achieved with God, through God, by His grace. So no need to fear. I feel I have been favored and have been blessed, deeply blessed. But when it comes to finances, I feel like I've always fallen short. I've always lacked the ability to give more money back to others and to do more for others because it took every penny just to make ends meet. But I am still I love this attitude. But I am still healthy, happy, and much wiser at age 67. And now, for the first time in my life, I see an incredible opportunity that can get me to the financial freedom I have been seeking my entire life with something that is so simple, so doable, and yet so rewarding that it blows my mind. Life is great, but there's no guarantees, and sometimes the harder you try, the more trials and troubles you have. But you learn, live, love, and go on as it builds your character. And now this incredible opportunity has become available. It's now or never for me. I'm all in. And anyone that sees this vision, wants it, and commits to it, and takes action can achieve unlimited passive financial income for you and your family to enjoy. 5, 3, 2, 1, go. Go now. And I shared this just to understand where this gentleman is coming from, but I really wanted to make this point. At the time of this recording, he's gone back to his home state of Tennessee. I think he's spending about 4 or 5 weeks there, and I think he's going to extend his stay a little bit longer because the actual kickoff, this program we've been talking about is in beta. It's closed. The beta program's closed right now. Nobody can even get into it. But it will be kicking off at the end of August, and he's extending his stay in the United States to be able to go to that event. But he came back to Tennessee. He's living in Costa Rica right now, and came back to Tennessee for 5 weeks where he could just get in the field and start working his business. Okay. And his first day in the field, he gave away 5 free Loop TV players to businesses and created a $500 monthly passive income for himself in his first day out, $500 monthly passive income. And yeah, I did say his first day, and I have no doubt that, he's going to be $100,000 plus earner on our team. So it's those type of commitments that are real important. And, I feel like at times over the last 40 years, I've spent my whole life, it feels like sometimes helping people yank their thumb out of their mouth and quit whining and complaining. But I'm beyond that at this point, and I'm really trying to get deeper into this whole programming your mind and help people understand you are where you are in your life because of what's gone into your mind. And the only way to change where you are is to change what goes into your mind. Those of you that are part of our Programming Your Mind for Success program, that's how I started. That's how I start everything, because it's that wisdom of the ages truth changed my life. Changed my life. And I'm not going to rehash the story, but man, when they popped in that tape in the basement at IBM that first afternoon, and I heard those words from Zig Ziglar, you are where you are in your life because of what's gone into your mind, and the only way to change where you are is to change what goes into your mind. It set my life on a whole completely new path. New path. So no matter what kind of summer holiday you choose, these breaks always come as a welcome reminder of the need to sometimes slow down and think. Some people are too busy making a living to create any true wealth. Kind of stay close to nature and appreciate the simpler moments in life. Take some time and watch the bird on the back porch at the bird feeder. Now, my wife is she's nerdy that way. I'm not. I'm typically very focused. I don't see or hear most of what's going on around me if I'm in that zone. But during those moments of stillness, we're also given the opportunity to take a step back from the daily running of our lives and contemplate and really think about what truly matters. And I've talked about this over the last 4 or 5 sessions. What do you really want? What do you really want? What do you really want? Because you don't have to have a Lamborghini. And success, well, I want this and then I'll feel successful. Well, success is living your life working towards worthy goals. You get excited about your ability to make yourself do what needs to be done. So I hope this week's podcast is your guide to, we'll call it summer reflection, and maybe intelligent change. Summer reflection and intelligent change. When we talk about growth, many of us think marketing, business, exponential growth, data, list building. But today I want to kind of trace the concept of development and evolution back to its roots, and literally the roots of the tree. So what does it mean to grow? How do we expand our minds and improve our bodies? How do we go beyond what we currently are, where we currently are? How do we get beyond that? And how do we get to a place that we've never been before? How do we really break out? And y'all have heard me use that term many times over the years. What creates the breakout? How do we get to new heights? And it's so cool when you watch people's journey and then you watch the breakout. And sometimes the breakout is just the initial action, just taking the initial action. The action takers are the money makers. In times of need, we get to a point of desperation, and that's when most people take action, and that's sad. You don't want to wait till you get to a point of desperation before you take action. There is no smooth sailing. You're constantly progressing and moving forward, and if you're not, you're going backwards. You don't just tread water in business. So in times of need, we instinctively always seem to look towards nature and a higher power, because simply put, that's where the real answers are. That's where the real answers are. And if you picked up a leaf from the ground, and you can pick up any leaf would do. And even those of us with no botanical knowledge we'll be able to immediately notice the systems of veins that are running through its blades in that leaf. Pick up any leaf from the ground, you'll see it. Does that remind you of anything? And see, our own physicality and human nature are equally complex and more connected to the earth probably than we realize or care to admit. We who, have been formulated and shaped by God, we're set up to be a certain way. Nature leaves clues, just like success does. We need water and we need light to grow. And we will change as human beings according to life's seasons. As seasons change, we will tend to change. Even our mood is subject to be influenced from weather conditions. And I realized years ago that I need sunlight more than most. And I'm not sure why, but I know I need it. And some of us, again, need more than others, but we all need it. And I'm not one of these I love all 4 seasons people. I'm not. Honestly, I wouldn't care if I never saw another flake of snow or if I was never in temperature below 70 degrees again the rest of my life. But if you have problems seeing the woods for the trees, I'm going to try to elaborate just a little bit about how we are as humans, not just from every function, but how we are and how we're built as humans. And I'm going to compare it to a tree and a leaf because I think it's a good example. At the roots is where we come from. At first, we're just kind of like seeds, for lack of a better way to try to explain this. Some of us have had a chance to fall on fertile soil. I personally was so blessed to fall on what I would call fertile soil. And some of us had to fight for survival in barren ground. Some of us were regularly as children watered, exposed to sunlight, and properly cared for. And some of us were basically left unattended to fend for ourselves. So how do we grow healthy roots? We don't choose our family by blood. And sometimes the apple does fall far from the tree. Our guardians, we don't choose them. We don't choose our school teachers. We have no say in where in the world we're born, when we're born, what circumstances constituted our environment. And if the grass is greener, or we able to go from our neck of the woods to greener grass, we don't determine any of that. Those of you that have heard me talk about this, if you listen to this podcast, you've heard me talk about this multiple times. And this is sincerely, people think I'm joking, but I see everybody as 12-year-old kids. It just helps me understand people better when I can visualize where they were at 12 years old. And I talk about this in the whirlpool training I do to quite a great extent. But who we are is based upon the authority figures that we had in our life. Mother, brother, aunt, uncle, relatives, ministers, teachers, etc., authority figures, coaches, and the location or the environment in which we were raised. I was born in central Kentucky, in a little town, 400 population. Some people are born in big cities. Some people are born outside. Many of the listeners that listen to this podcast are born outside the United States. All those things make a difference. Okay, so we are what we are. We're the environment we were raised in. I believe there's a plan for all of us. I do. I just do. I don't care what your background, experience, what type of situation you were raised in. Because once we get older, we have the opportunity to choose and adopt a family, people we want to hang out with, friends who will support and nurture our growth, even if it's slow and messy sometimes. People who will gently or not nudge us and challenge ourselves. That's what we all need in our life. People that will gently or not, sometimes the 2 before has to come out, but people that will nudge us to challenge ourselves, to continue to learn, grow, move forward, and become all we can become. Jim Rohn would say that we have to love, we're looking for people that love us enough to tell us what we need to hear, not necessarily what we want to hear. And that is the challenge with network marketing and the world in general today. Nobody cares enough to have real, authentic, difficult conversations with people. The media daily is pushing all of us to never speak our minds and to make sure that everything we say is politically correct. And it's getting harder and harder to be real, to be authentic, and to tell people what you really feel like is in their best interest, even when it's difficult. Now, personally, I don't give a flying flip what the media says. They, in my opinion, violate every wisdom of the ages success principle on the planet. But we can choose our mentors. We can work towards leaving our circumstances if we don't like our circumstances. We can search for new soul. We can build a new home. We can keep our minds open in order to learn from the grind. We all have that opportunity, and that's on us. It's up to us. We can sit around and be negative and fearful and feel like we're a victim or not. It's up to us. Whatever circumstances we've come out of or we've experienced that have been negative, there's people that have broke through those and got beyond those and achieved phenomenal things in their life and what they were put here to achieve. It's happened. In 2 Timothy 1:7, it says, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." I love that wisdom of the ages concept. 95% of the challenges the network marketing profession is facing today could have been eliminated if distributors had just asked themselves this question: who is this person? Why am I listening to them? When the internet became mainstream, we allowed self-proclaimed gurus to overtake the marketplace, spouting shortcuts and violating every wisdom of the ages principle that's ever existed to that point. And, it might be a good time for some of you listening to ask yourself, who have I been listening to? Where have they taken me? What's it gotten me? I talk about the concept of mentorship and how to find the right people at the right time on your journey, and how important this success principle of mentorship is in a double CD set that I produced several years ago. I think it's still available on Amazon. It's called The Success Principle The Internet Is Stolen. And it's all about mentorship. And I will see if I can find the link and I'll add it in the description. But that's a real good question to ask yourself before we move forward. You can find new soul. You can find people that will support you correctly on your journey. The network marketing profession is full of a lot of self-proclaimed gurus that are telling people what they want to hear so they can sell them what they want to sell them. We all know that's true. Is there an authentic group of people that you can work with that will tell you the truth and encourage you on your journey? I know there is. And I'll put our group up against any out there. And I know there's many other good groups out there, but we are special. We just are. The tree trunk who we are. Soon enough, something sprouts from the ground. A tiny, it's just tiny proof of, hey, there's life. There's life. Something's sprouting up. So proof of life occurs. And when a tree starts to grow. And about the time we start to form our personality as kids, our first hopes and dreams are starting to come together. And before we're really before we have fully grown into ourselves, our character starts to form and the trunk starts to form of our life, our core, the spine that we have that holds us upright as a human being and as a person. And psychologists are not unanimous in the nature versus nurture debate. You know, some people think, well, we're born to be whoever we're going to be and we're going to be. And some people know and understand that the influence and nurturing we get as children play a big role as we become adults. So that debate's always going to be out there, and the people with initials behind their names will continue to debate that. But the one thing that they do agree, and this is kind of the most basic concept, personality, is our unique patterns of thoughts and feelings and behaviors, whatever they are, remain fairly consistent throughout our life. Just as an example, it would be extremely difficult for an introvert like myself to become an extrovert. You're born an introvert or extrovert based upon DNA. And to change that is very difficult. But there's many, many things that you can change. And the beautiful part, to be successful in business, you don't have to be an extrovert. You can be an introvert. And as I've said many times, you know, when I get on stage to speak and share ideas, this whole new personality emerges for me that I can't really explain. It's just a deep sense of responsibility. It comes over me, and I communicate at a different level. I call it level 5 communication that is filled with conviction, emotion. It's not forced. It's just something that happens. However, if we understand the mechanics of our personality, what's commonly called today self-awareness, if we have a deep self-awareness, we can use that self-awareness to our advantage. We can figure out what our strengths are and how to get stronger in areas that we need to get stronger in. We can work with what we've got to work with, unlocking the potential that lies in the trunk of our unique tree of ourselves. And if you've not spent personal education time on understanding yourself, the personality types different people have, I cannot recommend strongly enough that you spend some time and really get a deeper understanding of different personality types. I'll tell you, I remember I did this study in my Shackley days, and it made everything and everybody around me make more sense. You know, the difference in myself and my dad, myself and my mom, myself and my siblings, and understanding my personality type compared to theirs and the way they see the world and the way I see the world. And it may, you know, I'm not a sanguine, you know, I'm not an outgoing, boisterous person. People think I am because I do a podcast or I speak on stage, you know, but what happens for me, it's like, again, when I get on stage, I remember years ago a preacher said, set yourself on fire. People will come to watch you burn. And that, along with the fact of this deep sense of responsibility, because I think there, for the grace of God go I. And I remember the 2 times specifically on my journey when if I hadn't been at those events, you wouldn't be listening to me talking on this podcast today, because they changed my life. And I don't take that for granted. I don't take people's time for granted. So again, it's understanding who you are. What is your personality type? And if you can't answer that question, you need to. You need to be able to answer that question. And there's 4 or 5 books. I'll try to recommend them, find the links and put them in the description. But One is just understanding your color. Are you a red, yellow, green, blue? What are you? There's been a lot of books written about that. Another great book is by Tim LaHaye, and it says, Why You Act the Way You Do is the name of that book. And again, I'll try to find the links. I've mentioned the 5 love languages on this podcast before. And if you're involved in network marketing, which most of you probably are, I think it's real important that you understand the 70%, 3%, 27%. And I've talked about this multiple times on this podcast. I also wrote a booklet on it. It's actually a CD as well. That it's still on Amazon, I believe. I will check. It's called Why the Masses of Network Marketers Are Frustrated, Confused, and Don't Have a Clue What They're Doing. So after you get a solid picture of who you are, what your personality type is, what you stand for in your mind and heart, accept the fact that nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect, and that growth is always painful. Expanding your comfort zone is never easy, but it's always worth it. Once you get a deep understanding of that, then and only then, once you have a fairly fixed personality, will you be able to outgrow a fixed, unproductive mindset that doesn't serve you or your entrepreneurial journey. So you have to know who you are, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and then you can expand your mindset and you can start looking at things and get through that whirlpool, look at things in a different way, and start developing mindsets that serve you on your entrepreneurial journey. Because if you have mindsets that don't serve you, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. So you got to get your trunk right, and that starts with deep self-awareness. Branching out, and it all comes down to the decisions that you make. They're all important. Psychologist Carol Dweck, she believes that under the surface of our fixed, broad personality, the personality traits we have, under that lies our in-between qualities, such as beliefs or the way we have, what kind of coping strategies we have. And according to Carol Dweck, these are very changeable. They can be changed. See, we all are born with a certain DNA, introvert, extrovert. There are certain things that it's hard to, psychologists don't think can be changed, but most aspects, mindsets can be changed. Therefore, if we can, for example, break away from limiting beliefs that might have a resounding effect on our behaviors and possibilities on certain aspects of our personality. I say for sure on our personality. I believe when people break away from their limiting beliefs and they have that breakout, it absolutely changes our personality for the positive. I've seen this happen to myself and many others I've worked with over the years. When they break out, I'm working with people right now that are not the same people that I met when we first started working together. And I could go on and on and on about Kamala Robinson and others, but you'll hear from them down the road. But it really comes down and it boils down to our personal choices. So we have the trunk of our tree, and then the personal choices are kind of the limbs and the twigs and the branches. Each and every branchlet is an evergreen decision we make that shapes the tree of our life. Our fate depends on whether we pick what is right over what is easy and convenient. What is right over what is easy and convenient. And what is right, from my perspective, is what's right from, is this going to take me towards my goals? Is this activity going to take me towards my goals? If it's not, why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Am I maximizing every single day of my life to work towards my goals in the 7 key areas of life that I've talked about many times on this session, on this podcast? Whether we can opt for creating rather than consuming. I'm going to create rather than consume. Eventually, every great leader was first a great follower. Every great teacher was first a great student. And at some point you have to make the shift, especially in network marketing, where I am them now. My job now is to lead. I follow people, will follow people all my life. But at some point you have to have the shift, because as I've said 100,000 times, we're in the leadership development business. So at some point you have to have that shift. And we have to decide, what, I'm going to go after that dream, or I'm going to stay safe in the mundane zone of comfort. Everything that we do, every decision that we make matters. Once again, we turn to nature, this time within ourselves. If you struggle to make the right choices, that should not be a struggle. I was talking with someone last week, I can't remember who it was, and they said, I'm fighting my laziness. And I'm thinking, dude, you need to be beyond that at this point. Don't tolerate your own laziness. Focus on your why, your goals. What do you want to accomplish? Rebuke the laziness. There's no place for laziness. Not now, not this time. And sometimes you just have to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think about your crossroads and really get a feeling. What is my gut feeling? Does path A, sitting down and watching cat videos on YouTube, or, watching, movies every night, whatever you do to waste your time, does path A make you feel expansive or contracted? That's a real good question. Does this activity make you feel expanded as a human being or contracted? And what about path B? There's wisdom in our bodies, and usually we know what we want. Our bodies know what we want before we do. It's what inspires you, what keeps you focused. Are you spending time there, or are you wasting it? And this is a real secret, in my opinion, to life, is to try to get through it. In my opinion, the secret to life, one of the main secrets, is try to get through it making as few wrong decisions as possible. And is this contracting me as a person, or is it expanding me as a person? And expansion usually means getting out of your comfort zone, and that's not easy. But once you get into that mindset, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And I've been trying to communicate to people for years. The person you are now and the fears that you have, those fears will be eliminated over time. You won't have them anymore. I remember when I used to have fear of the phone until I didn't, and that's kind of the way this works. If you do what you're supposed to be doing consistently enough, long enough, those activities that you're not comfortable with will become comfortable, and you'll bring them in your comfort zone. You don't have to stay the person you are, but you have to understand who you are. Most people have no self-awareness. They don't understand what their personality type is, or those around them. How do you expect to become all you can be when you really don't understand yourself? So again, focus on expansive activities, not those that contract you. The crown of leaves, once the leaves start producing, that's when success starts flourishing. In every twig is a decision. Every leaf and every bloom is the consequences of that decision. We've all probably heard our imagination is a preview of our life's coming attractions. Are we focusing on that which we want every day or that which we don't want? Because the imagination is a preview of your life's coming attractions. A tree is known by its fruit. We've all heard that. And the fruits of our labor are the sweetest. The sweetest fruits are the fruits of your labor. So if you decide to invest in yourself, after a while, you'll start to see positive change in your overall well-being. Every personal development student on this planet will tell you the same thing. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. Spend the time on you, on making you better, reading the books, doing the affirmations, programming your mind for success, hanging around the right mentor and the right group of people that will support you. I know when I think about when Donna and I got married, I told her I don't spend money on fancy stuff. I don't. I only spend money on two things: personal education and memories. So, who said success doesn't grow on trees? I mean, I've kind of given you the path of the growth of a tree, and to me, it's very comparable to success because it's the way nature has set things up. Education, taking a healthy risk from time to time, starting that new passion project, sometimes just for the only purpose just to challenge your brain, is important. I mean, it's okay. And then good self-care and trying to focus on your diet and exercise and proper rest are all steps that create branches on your tree. And above all, I think the most important branch to develop is a branch of gratitude and thankfulness. Make sure those you love and appreciate know you love and appreciate them. The branch of thankfulness. Jim Rohn said, the secret to success is to be able to combine ambition with thankfulness. Ambition with thankfulness. To be thankful for what you have, the people in your life, and ambition with thankfulness. And if you don't have that deep sense of thankfulness, your ego will mess with you in ways that you can't even comprehend. The jealousy factor is overwhelming in people that don't have a deep sense of thankfulness and appreciation. The sap is the tree's blood. It travels within the veins, distributing nutrients throughout the whole plant. And gratitude is the same kind of nourishing life force. It really is. Gratitude is it. It spreads within us, fixing what's broken or weak in order for us to grow strong, healthy leaves, and in time burst into beautiful flowers of happiness, of satisfaction. That's the sap is the key. And if you allow gratitude to fill you from head to toe, or in the example of a tree from crown to root, it will fuel and grow your prosperity. Gratitude, thankfulness, along with ambition. Man, I've never really said that before, but when you step back and you really look at it, I think that's the key. That's the lifeblood, the sap of success is thankfulness and gratitude. Great oaks always come from little acorns. What was that joke? What's the difference between this and this? It's a little acorn. I don't remember. Sorry. Do you know the best part of growing and evolving like a tree? The very best part. And man, if you, and you're going to witness it, some of you witness it, you've heard the stories. Here's the best part of growing and evolving like a tree. Rebirth. When a branch is cut off, it regrows. When the leaves perish in the autumn, they come back in the spring. It's the cycle of natural changes that corresponds to what we go through in our lives. We all go through loss. We all have to have unbelievable patience. We all have to go through sometimes recovery periods. I mean, that's all part of life, loss, patience, recovery, but so is flourishing. A tree is a symbol of life for a reason. All we do is we're just mimicking nature as human beings. That's all we're doing. We're mimicking nature. So grow tall, grow proud, grow mighty, and be patient. Your growth might be slow, but if you tend to your sprouts with love, your progress will be tangible. But you got to take care of the sprouts too. The rebirth can and will occur. I mean, I have seen this happen over and over in my career. The exciting things for me is many of you listening to this podcast are experiencing major personal growth right now. And I'm so happy for you because I get to hear your stories. And it's so exciting to watch and witness and see what's happening for people. And I've said that network marketing is a personal development program with a compensation plan attached. That's really what it is. It's the number one personal development program in the world. Number one. At one time in history, I could say that about 95% of the companies in this industry. Unfortunately, reality today, it's less than 5% of companies in this industry today really walk the walk. I mean, they all talk the talk, but very few companies and organizations are focused on personal development and leadership development and helping people grow as human beings, become a strong tree, for lack of a better terms. I know this is not normally in my wheelhouse, but I felt like it may help me make a point. Network marketing's turned into a giant social club that attempts to hype people up about nothing. Most people in the profession with leadership titles, let's be honest, they're more interested in keeping their social club members on auto ship one more month and keeping them entertained than they are developing a new crop of real leaders. And I've said it for 40 years, the real product in network marketing is a well-trained leader. If you build people, people will build the business. I can give you and share with you the principles, the concepts, the ideas, the success principles, wisdom of the ages concepts that I know are life altering. I can support you every way I possibly can, and I can surround you with people that will support you as well. But you got to be willing to make the first step. You have to be willing to make the first step in faith, and that's hard for people. But there's still opportunity here. There still is. And again, you have the opportunity to participate in the greatest self-development program the world's ever known. So there are personal growth patterns. Okay. It doesn't happen by accident. People join our team, and the hardest thing for me to try to communicate is, look, if you get plugged in, you're not going to recognize yourself in 1 year. You give us 1 year and you get plugged into everything that we have here to support you, you're going to be a different person in 1 year. I promise you. I promise you. You give us 1 year because the systems are in place, the support structures in place, everything we need, everything you need to achieve your full upside potential. Just like the tree, to grow as tall as the tree can grow. That's what it's about, guys. We're in the greatest personal development program on the planet. But there's patterns in nature to growth. And I hope that something I've said this week has inspired you some way to get more serious, get more focused about where you're spending your time, what are you putting in your mind, becoming more self-aware, understanding your personality, understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and understand the importance of gratitude and being able to provide and create a life where every day you wake up and you're in a spirit of thankfulness with ambition. I hope this has helped. Thanks for being with me again. If this is your first time, my name's Dale Calvert. I will talk to you next week. This will be the unofficial, official. Something's going to happen. It'll be our 300th episode, and then after that, I'm not sure where we're going to go from that point moving forward, but I appreciate you being here. I thank all of you that support this podcast and leave me great feedback. You're appreciated. Have an awesome week, and I'll talk to you next week on another session of the MLM Success Podcast.
If you haven't gone over to iTunes yet and rated and left this podcast a review, what are you waiting for? At Calvert Marketing Group, we want to spend our time on the projects that we know are providing the most value for our clients and customers. You leaving us a review and feedback on iTunes is something that helps us more than you realize. And more importantly, it helps others like you find us. So if you've not taken the time to rate this podcast, please go over to iTunes and do that for us now. It will only take a couple of minutes out of your busy schedule. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business, and we will be back next week with another inspiring success story, wisdom of the ages training, or answers to your questions.